Hi everyone, it's Holy Week and it's Wednesday and we're going to continue with our reflections on the Holy Week days. Hopefully you've seen the ones that have gone before that have been uploaded onto YouTube. So today we continue with the story on the week before Jesus' death, and we're reading from John chapter 13 verse 21 to 30. After saying this, Jesus was troubled in spirit and declared, "Very truly I tell you, one of you will betray me." The disciples looked at one another, uncertain of who that would be. And one of his disciples, the one whom Jesus loved, was reclining next to him. Simon Peter therefore mentioned him to ask Jesus who it is that he was speaking about. So while reclining next to Jesus, he asked him, "Lord, who is it?" And Jesus answered, "It is the one to whom I give this piece of bread when I have dipped it in the dish." And so when he had dipped the piece of bread, he gave it to Judas, son of Simon Iscariot. After he received the piece of bread, Satan entered into him. And Jesus said to him, "Do quickly what you are going to do." Now no one at the table knew why Jesus was saying this. Some thought that because Judas had the common purse, that Jesus was telling him to go and buy what was needed for the festival, or that he should give something to the poor. So after receiving the piece of bread, he immediately went out, and it was night. As we near the darkness of the cross on Good Friday, we enter into this story of darkness. It's a story of dark betrayal by Judas of Jesus. And Jesus is having a meal with his disciples, the Passover Meal, a celebration meal where the Jews were reminded of God's salvation, God's freedom, all that God had hoped and dreamed for God's people. And it was at this meal that Jesus becomes aware and talks about Judas's betrayal. Betrayal is a word that stings us. It's not something that's done to us by enemies. Betrayal is something done to us by friends, those who are close to us. And so in this occasion of connection and relationship, we discover that Judas has chosen to betray the one that he loves. We know also from John's commentary previously that Judas was someone who was called a thief. He kept the common purse. And so as the disciples moved around from place to place, and any money that was given to them was put into the common purse, and they would use this to buy their food or their meals or to give to the poor or to pay for their accommodation. And Judas was the one who kept this purse, and we know from previous stories that Judas used to steal from this purse. Something that was entrusted to him by this community, he took advantage of. And so Judas leaves the meal and he goes and betrays Jesus for 30 pieces of silver. We see that money had a hold on Judas's heart, and he was willing to betray his dearest friend. And we see in this story the darkness in the human heart and the capacity of the human heart to do evil and dark things. Tomorrow we will see the disciples entering into the darkness of sharing the washing of the feet. But this is a spiritual darkness that we experience here, and a spiritual loss and a relational loss for Jesus as things begin to be stripped away from him. So I wonder if you have ever experienced betrayal by someone you love, someone who has let you down, someone who has deliberately hurt you or forsaken you for something that they desired or longed for greater. It has a sting for us, and if you have experienced that, it will quickly come to mind, and the feelings will quickly come to mind as you remember that time and that story. As we enter into this day, it's a day to remember the darkness within ourselves and our capacity to betray those that we love. And it's also a call to renew ourselves, to forgive those who have hurt us, and to seek forgiveness to those who we have hurt. In this book, Friends and Enemies, which is a short book of prayers for our friends and for our enemies, in obedience to Christ who calls us to love our friends and our enemies, there is a prayer for friends who have turned enemies. Perhaps I could pray for enemies. It would be straightforward. They would be the ones who hate me, who wish to do me harm. But these friends, these are the ones I thought were friends. These are the ones I have eaten with and prayed with and laughed with. These are the ones with whom I sat at Christ's table. Now, without warning, they have turned from me. They have wounded me in the deepest place of my vulnerability. They do not speak to me. They will not look at me. I do not know how to pray for them, and I cannot pray with them. I only have rage and anger and pain and confusion to bear them. God, you alone are faithful, so accept the prayer that I cannot make. Amen.